Hello and welcome to the second hour of the Dawn Show on IE Radio. You are Ion South Sudan. I'm your host, Hellen Samuel. And today is Wednesday, the 21st of January 2026. In this hour, we will be highlighting how education can respond to young people's realities. And to shed more light on this topic, I'm joined live in the studio by Dot Deng, who is a teacher and an advocate. Good morning, Dot, and welcome to the Dawn Show today at IE Radio.
Thank you so much, and good morning to you and everyone who is listening.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure having you on the show. So we will delve into the program straight away as we are already 12 minutes into the hour. So given the challenges youth or young people face in South Sudan as the conflict, unemployment and limited access to quality schooling, how can education systems be reshaped to reflect these realities and provide practical skills, psychosocial support and hope for the future?
Thank you so much. There are so many elements to that particular question.
Yeah.
And maybe just to draw the context and an understanding, education is meant to meet the needs, not just of the nation, but of the young people that are there, the future of the country, and to ensure that there is continuity and there is progress that is made both by the young people that are coming up and those that are already through school. And this can be done by ensuring that the system or the education curriculum that is being taught is relevant to the job market and to the realities of the people in the ground. And looking at South Sudan, ever since independence, there has been a growing conflict over and over and over, and we've seen in 2013 and 2016 the level of conflict that has been there, and also the history of the 21 years of the struggle. So the country has been marred up in conflict. So our reality is that we are a country that needs to come out of conflict. That is one. Number two, we also see that the job market has been very hard. You find at the universities we offer skill sets that are not in the job anymore, or that have limited job spaces. And that's why you see, much as we talk about employment, we have unemployment due to not the lack of skills, but the irrelevance of the skills that people have. And there's something also special that you mentioned earlier, the issue of psychosocial support. And we've seen young people, old people, the country is in level of trauma. And school should be in a position to change that. So that can be done by developing a curriculum that meets these challenges, and that also reflects on the aspirations of the country itself. So this is how it can be done, by ensuring that a system is set and a curriculum is developed, and the curriculum is designed to meet the needs of the people.
Yeah, so if we talk about reforms and policies, so what specific reforms or policies should be prioritized to ensure education addresses the real life struggles of South Sudanese youth? You talked about the university, maybe a relevancy of the current skills that are being provided, which is not maybe workable or available in the workforce.
Yeah.
So maybe what you said earlier on can actually cover this question.
Yeah, it does. And just to expand a little bit, one of the reforms that we need at the moment, and one of the policies that need to be developed, is that there need to be a working relationship between our educational institutions, that is the Ministry of General Education and Instruction, and the Ministry of Higher Education, in liaison with the National Bureau of Statistics. We've seen the Bureau of Statistics has been very dormant, and this is why there is no data. How many graduates do we have today? And what skills do they have? How many jobs are in the market? And what skills do they require? And where is the country headed? towards what trajectory? Is it towards technology? Is it towards mechanicals, or
training?
even you see all of that? There is need to be that relationship between the statistics and the education institutions, so that the information that the statistics have is used in developing the course contents of the universities that we have, in ensuring that courses are revised on annual basis, and that comes also to the ministry. I think they have a department of research at the Ministry of Higher Education, and also at the Ministry of General Education. Those ministries need to be revived, and a lot of effort need to be put in place. Secondly, the methodology or the pedagogy that is used in teaching also have to be revised. I understand in 2019 we had a curriculum that was passed by the then minister, Deng Deng Uch, the Minister of General Education, and it was focused on student learning, where students were given more skills to grow in that particular field that they want. But over the years we've reverted back to the old system, where it is more of a teacher coming to lecture in class. The lessons are not practical. You find many schools do not even have samples of laboratory equipment, and this is a challenge that also needs to be addressed. In terms of policy also, there is need to change how we deliver the content, what contents we deliver in school. I remember one of the biggest debates that was that ensured back in the days, I think 2020 or 2021, was the new curriculum had scrapped off agriculture, and then you wonder who is making these policies. Why can a subject that is core to the development of the country be removed from the school system? If you also look at how the examinations are set, both at the elementary level, our primaries and secondary, and at the higher level, you find that it's purely theoretical. Somebody was joking the other day that even students of computer science cannot do basic functions of a computer, because it is purely theoretical. So how do we move from theoretical learning to practical learning? These are also discussions that need to be developed here.
But according to you, how is it supposed to be? If you can just think about how it should have been.
As a teacher, and this is also what, and as an advocate also, educational advocate, what we tried and what we are advocating for now is that there is need to introduce practical exams. That is something that need not to be discussed. The question should be, how can we expedite the process and ensure that practical exams are done, to ensure that students have this skill set. Secondly, there are programs that have to be introduced. For example, there's organizations now that do science fairs, exhibitions and all that. That does not need to come as a project for organizations. It has to come as an activity that is mandatory under the ministry, where on annual basis they have a science exhibition, students to showcase what they've learned in the course of the year, and agricultural exhibitions could be there to also see, because the question now is, what do we need as a country? We need peace, of course, we need trauma and healing, that is true, but we also need to move towards science. So all of these, how do we address them? In our schools, at the university levels, we also have to introduce. I understand that it's the University of Juba in the country that has psychology. Other universities, both private and public, do not have.
And it's very important.
It is important because we have a generation that has been through trauma. And that's why you see education has not been changing us for the last 15 years that we have been in an independent country. And 15 years is a long time for a country to continue to be in trauma.
The same way.
It is sad, which means we have not looked at our educational goals to see if, and have we been evaluating them to see if we are making change. So that's also something that we need to do, periodical evaluations of our curriculum, and seeing also if the objectives are being met. the current curriculum at the general education level will be going to about 7 years now in implementation. And these 7 years, have we achieved a milestone? That's something that we need to discuss. At the higher education level, I understand the universities, some are using curriculums that were developed in the 80s. So it's something that we need to look into here.
But having said that, how can education systems in South Sudan integrate practical skills? You talked about training to prepare youth for employment and entrepreneurship.
Like I mentioned earlier, the first part is the introduction of practical exams. This will ensure that they develop this hands-on skill. And looking also at entrepreneurship, which I hadn't talked about earlier, the skill sets can be easily developed. And most importantly, especially, we have institutions, either businesses, companies. We can have an integration where either university level or senior 4 leavers can have either part-time or internship levels, so that these particular skills they are learning they can put into practice. There is one of the schools that I'll not mention that has, on the level of entrepreneurship, they have a system design where learners come up with their idea, develop it, and the school sees if they can fund the startup. And this is a purely run student initiative. Such kind of programs need to be introduced in the schools and encouraged. That would develop the level of knowledge that they have, and also ensure that they are practical with the approaches that they have. Yeah.
But as a teacher, is it happening in South Sudan, or some schools are already involved in such practices?
Some schools are already working towards that. But when we talk about some schools, we know these are private schools.
These are private schools mostly.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So in your view, what changes in the classroom or curriculum would make education more meaningful and empowering for young people today?
Number one, there's something that a lot of people do not pay attention to. One is the number of learners in a class. If you look at our classrooms now, our classrooms are compact. There are schools where a classroom that should have 45 students goes to 100 plus students. The teacher-student ratio is up the roof. It makes it difficult for teachers to deliver. So one is to address the issue of learners in the classroom, the student-teacher ratio. At the very most, understanding the difficulties that we have as a country, we can go to 45 students in a class. Secondly, classrooms have to be, the world is moving towards technology, which means we have to introduce elements of technology in our teaching. Also, teacher welfare, it all goes to classroom as well. And outside classroom, schools have to develop systems that ensure there is attendance and constant monitoring of the students. And they, I don't know if the verification and also the department or the directorate of assessment in the ministry is there, but if they are, they should be doing regular checkups on schools. Also, learning materials have to be availed. I know there are certain partners that have been trying on that, but still we have so many schools that do not have access to learning materials, especially the curriculum itself. This is also something that needs to be done here.
Yeah. So having said that, you mentioned technology, and I've seen it has been recurring in your statement while you are talking. So how can technology and digital learning tools be leveraged to expand access to education in remote or conflict-affected areas in South Sudan?
conflicted and remote areas, it's quite. It's
or
quite,
maybe there are challenges to that. You can talk about
It's quite a huge challenge. Why? Because starting with the teachers that we have at the local level, at the ground roots, you find that even teachers do not have the necessary skills to adapt to technology. So when we ask about how, we will have to start with who. Because if we are going to introduce technology to our schools and to utilize its positive impacts, we also need people that are skilled in that, and that is how we can start the introduction at the rural levels. Because at the rural levels they have a lot of challenges. Number one, electricity to start with, and some of the tools that we have are gadgets that need to be powered.
They need to power,
and we don't have power at the rural areas, or power that is constant, which means we have to introduce it. That goes back to the ministry and to educational actors to ensure that these services are brought closer, and it is important that they are introduced at a basic level to start with. Could be as simple as knowing how to type and write and surfing the internet. This could be the basics, because in terms of research, student research, we know we have limited number of qualified teachers. Technology can be exploited here, where learners could be allowed to go and use available search engines to further their understanding. In terms of monitoring also, because we find that school attendance at the grassroots level, at the rural development, the rural areas, is very, very low. So if we use technology to monitor student attendance and what have you, it would encourage attendance in school. So that is basically how it can be used. But the most important question is by who, and how do we introduce it to the grassroots level to begin with.
That is a very big challenge there, as I can see. But now I'm just thinking about something.
Yeah.
You are already a teacher as well as an advocate. Yeah. And I'm sure you have been able to get acquainted with some schools, whether private or government, in the country. So as we are talking about technology here, and it needs to be introduced, we know that in the countryside or in remote areas, there could be challenges. What about in the capital here? Let's just take to the capital, Juba. Okay. Is it something that is happening in schools? At what levels?
In the schools, especially in the capital here, there are schools that are already adapting to technology. And although it is at a small scale at the moment, it's just starting off. Schools want to see if this is going to be a good system to move towards. There are teachers now that would use, say for example, projectors to deliver content. They would use pre-recorded tutorials that learners, when the teacher is not around, can revise. Learners can be allowed to have access to internet, and the teacher would share learning materials with them. There are even WhatsApp groups that have been created for classrooms that teachers use during holidays to pass homeworks and what have you. So it is on the use now, but it's still developing.
Small scale.
Or small scale, yes. But also there are challenges that are coming with it. Learners, especially when we talk about AI, you find that say a learner after classes will go see what the teacher had taught during the day, and then pick up the phone, or the laptop, and Google if what the teacher has said is right. So you find that the learners do not focus on the teacher anymore, that they see that they have to question the authenticity of what the teacher
Do
is
you
teaching.
see that as positive or negative? What is its impact?
It's a double-edged sword, because sometimes the AI uses different tools, search engines online, and much as the content might be the same, the explanation could be different. And once a learner finds that the explanation is different from what the teacher had said, though it's the same content, it's the same logic, you find that they start losing trust in the teacher.
Wow.
Or if a teacher makes a mistake, and we know
That's
teachers are humans,
Yes.
that learner will not concentrate anymore. And sometimes, learners, they would not go back and approach the teacher. So they just hold back. So it's a good thing in that it will allow students to have access to more materials, and to develop and grow and widen their understanding. But also, if not carefully monitored, could jeopardize. We also see situations where learners are using these materials to answer questions at home, instead of thinking and putting their understanding on the paper. They just go online and then get the answers, and that's it. Ready-made. So you find that there is no work that is going into that, and that is detrimental, especially for those that are doing sciences. You find an AI doctor.
The answers may be the same for so many students, because if we all go and do Google the same question,
yes,
then definitely we will be having similar answers,
But the question now is, do we have the same knowledge?
That's
because there are those who will just do it to answer the questions, and there are those that will learn.
And in fact, I was actually, that made me think about the end result, because at the end of it, when you do that, how is your work going to be assessed at the end of the course? Is it going to impact it negatively or positively? And does it show that also the use of technology, that the learners are actually learning something, or because they found that there is a shortcut, so I don't have to bother myself?
And that is the debate now, because if we are going to encourage the use of available technology, the question is, how do we monitor now the individuals to ensure that yes, as they pass, they actually have the skills and the set in their minds. So that's a huge debate that the tech people can tell us how we can minimize it. But at a teacher level, I would say there is a need to regulate the use of technology in classrooms, and also in examinations, and even in how we set homeworks. There should be a way that we maintain the integrity of learning, to ensure that it's not infiltrated by...
Just wondering, who is supposed to do that, to regulate the whole thing?
That's a difficult one. The schools have a responsibility. I think most schools now, what they do, they don't allow technological gadgets to get into schools. They don't allow phones. So during the day, the time that the learners are in school, the school is monitoring that. And then at home, parents have a role, the guardians have a role, to ensure if a homework is given, take the phone away. Unless it is said, go and research.
Exactly, we are coming to that point later. The role of the parents, because education is just not the role of the teachers and those who are giving the knowledge.
There are so many stakeholders.
It actually cuts across. So we'll come to that later.
Right.
You're tuned in and locked on to the eye of South Sudan, and it's a brand new dawn.
ده آي راديو عينك على جنوب السودان.
na mustamentanna annaguwana suketir hina moduta madarasa au tagiraya وديفتاي في داخل الاستوديو ومندشت واستاذ دوت دينغا annaguwana سو ان كيف تعليم بقدر رودو او بقدر عملوا وفروا احتياجات الشباب او الناس يا الشباب بذاته وفي حقائق الفي المن عايشين فوقه ما قال بس احتياجات تاني لكن لكن حقائق عايشين فوقه حاليا الشباب محتاجين لشنو وتعليم بقدر يوفر لهم احتياجاتهم لكيف. وكلام كتير أنا ونص في ذاك الاستوديو أنا ما بريجة فوقه. طبعا في كلام بشامل كمان عن منها بتاع دراسة، عن تغيرات، عن كيف دراسة بيكون في الجامعة، عن استخدام بتاع التكنولوجيا. وكان غير جا في كلام ده كله ما بقدر شيلو لأن زمان ده ما بيشيلو. ونا كمان دير أسمع مني تكون ممكن تكون بدوغو تليفون عشان كمان تبقدر ديفو صوتك كانت لغو كلام الفي أو كمان تايندو رأي كيف احتياجات أو تعليم بقدر وفرو احتياجات شباب يتبدوغو لنا توالي في أرقام تندل. Yes, it's time now for us to hear from you. You've heard quite a lot from Dot Dengo, who is here, a teacher and also an advocate. I think you had all the points. So time for questions. You can call this number.
It's a Baghdad Diamond Wenisuma iRadio على نمرة التليفون 0911 أو يتبي رسل رسالة على نمرة 0913
Okay, let me just add this one. I say time for questions, not only questions but comments. I've asked quite a number of questions. So it is your time. If you have a question, well and good, but comments, your reaction to this, or additions or suggestions. I read you.
Hellen, salam.
أهلا وسهلا.
أنا لكل من قدلة.
نعم لكل مرحبا.
الكلام ده واضح ومباشر. الاحتياجات المعلم هو معروف. هو يعوب برسته في زمن وبيئة مدرسة يكون ملائم وكل احتياجات المعلم رغم ولا سبب دراسة يكون موفر. أما بالنسبة للطلبة أول حاجة التدريس يكون كافي والدرس ما يكون مزدحم والمدرسة بيئة مدرسة يكون مشجع يكون ملائم عشان طالب بيقدر يواصل دراسة بتاعه. وراجل كتير من ده إدارة المدرسة يكون مشجع يعني طالب ما ممكن بتربيه في البيت على حسين ومع أبوته أو على أمرته ما تفهم سنة المدرسة. ثلاثة إحتياجات الكتير كمان في مدارس بدأ requirements مدارس أكثر من إنه requirements البيت دار بكون بيت وده في شهر بس في 3 شهور في تام تبقى إنه إدارة المدرسة بإدارة مدارس الخاصة أكتب لك الوصل رسالة أن أنا كوالي أمر إنه أجل المدارس قالوا ده إهانة بدرجة مسلم أولياء الأمور لأنه بيخلقوا أجل المستهينات وأعرف ظروف الاقتصادية اللي بين التعبان الناس ما بيقدروا يقدروا يلقوا يعطوا حاجة تعاكل يعني فتجل بيحاول بقدر الإمكان يلقوا أبوات يلقون براءة نهجر وصل جنة ولا مدرسة ودرسات بيت كين كنتوا إياك يلقوا في المدرسة والمدرسة بتقول إياك للبيت المدرسة عروض ده حاجة القوة جينا علينا كأعضاء الناس دارين أكتب لك اللي هو ودي رسالة ده كده كلمة تقول إيال من المدرسة اللي بيت بسبب ما دفعوا رسول هم بيجيبوا تليفون تبع الأمر بيجيبوا لي أنتوا على الأمر ما يجيبوا تليفون له الأمر والأمر بعدين يلتزموا مع جدا ودي مع التزاماتها مدرسة
شكرا لكل كمان صوتك وصلوا في برنامج ده ونبوديليتا شكرا كتير وكمان على حسب كمان تكلم. Let me take a look. There is a message here but let me take this call first. I radio.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning to you too. Who's calling?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. Your name and where and be short.
Call me Dr. Juma from the Republic of Yakron Far East.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, thank for the show, thank for the program. Yeah, straight to my point. You know, that point today you brought on the table to be discussed is a wonderful and a very important point.
Thank you for appreciating.
Thank you. You know, currently we are in a TikTok and a modernized world. But it's not like that. I myself, I don't allow students or people to use phones to Google what they are being given as a homework. As you said earlier, that if they are allowed to Google what is given on their homework, the answers will be similar the same, which means it's not so porous and biased. You must use your own brain to know that you are really a student or a pupil. But if you Google, Google can bring you everything on you. That's why we call it, you are expecting all your copy, all your xeroxing. We do not allow our students or our kids or our people to copy what is there in the Google. They have to use their own brain to know that how much have you prepared for that election, or how much have you prepared for that topic or for that topic. That's my only word. I have to also give some of the callers also to give their views.
Yeah.
Of your money.
Thank you so much for your addition, and I hope you'll always be contributing on the Dawn program every morning. Let me look at some of the messages. Gore Agu Korditi saying, good morning, iRadio. This is Peter. I'm watching you live from our town. Thank you. And Justin Kwaje David is saying, I'm from Eastern Uganda. To me, I would say digital learning and use of other technologies should be leveraged through ensuring that teachers in the countryside and likewise in the cities should be exposed to technology through serious training, and this is not a midnight call but rather a process that requires full commitment from the relevant authorities such as education ministries and the other departments. Thank you to Justin Kwaje for sending that message. And Barack Peter is saying, good morning, Helen, Samuel, and all learners of iRadio across the country. I'm watching live from Mundri, West Country. Yangi Na John is saying this is a real talk, and we hope this is taken with importance and implemented. Thank you for your messages. Let me pick another call. iRadio. Just lost that one. You can call back again. Mungkin tapi duguledna kamanta wali telefon shanta bak der share ko au difusotake fi munakasha alnaguonu su ustaz taban maana fi dakil studio den o su ketir an kalam ta talim احتياجات ta tedrib ta asatsa kaman fi teknolojia laanu kangulna madaris biga kedero bitiriga dak رغم انه في تحديات برضو ازعرفوا منيا كده بدلانو اتما ببدا ما طلبه ولغو اساسا ذاته ما بعرف كيف بيستخدموا تكنولوجي maybe في مدارس بسيط الهم بدا يشتغلوا بطريقه دي لكن ما كتير في بلدنا. اي راديو
الو اي راديو
يس
تعالى عليك في استوديو تعالى استاذ معك سايمون فايسنر.
نعم سايمون
وشكرا لايات اللي كلام فيه. فعندنا ننظر لأساتذة مدرسين في جنوب السودان. كلامه ده كله في ميلو ظروف لنا مواطنين في جنوب السودان شعب في جنوب السودان ظروف يقع بعملنا معهم. إذا ما ظروف لنا كان بكيف معهم. أجات لو كلام كله ده كلام صح. لكن أنا لي سؤال غير ناسال. ساوث السودان ده برايفت كونتري ولا ده كونتري للشعب؟ ده ديمقراطيك كونتري. ليه؟ أنا سألت سؤال. إنت لو جيت في ساوث السودان مستشفى برايفت، سكول برايفت. زمان أظن قاعدين في private country. Private country زمان.
I never thought of that.
شكرا.
شكرا كثير. That's interesting.
Very interesting question.
A private country. That's for everyone to think about. Now, maybe do you have something specific you want to react to?
Yes. I'll begin with Lokule. Lokule mentioned something very important, especially the issue of fees and people being sent home. And again, the topic of today is education meeting the realities of young people. And the young people of today are also parents. I think that's also another thing we'll need to get into. They are parents. And you find as parents, they have to pay for their fees. Some of them are still at the universities, and they have children that are schooling.
True.
And they have to pay their fees. And with the economy that we are in, that is also another reality that we have as a country. Our economy is bad. We've seen where the inflation is going, the prices in the market, and the salaries that people are receiving, and those that are working at the public sector, the salaries that they are not receiving. So that is a very good concern, and especially with the private schools. And there is something you mentioned earlier. Some private schools will just send away kids. You don't call parents. You don't follow up on.
Not notified.
They are not notified at all, and you wonder. So there need to be collaboration, especially with private schools, so that before they send children home, they notify the parents, and they give parents ample time to pay fees and to make a follow-up. And this is in line with the question that Simon just asked earlier. Is this a private country? And his question is in place. Sure. If you look at in Juba now, how many public schools are there?
Very few.
And how are they functioning? Are they delivering? You find 90% of the schools in Juba are private, and they charge exorbitant fees. And so there is need to have these discussions. Some schools have already moved from charging in SSP to charging in dollars.
That's another thing.
And for a parent that is working with the government that doesn't receive salary, where do they get the money? It is a serious concern that also needs to be addressed. Something else that I also want to mention in this, the leveraging of digital tools that was mentioned earlier by Kwaje. It is important, and there is need to conduct training to teachers, even those that are in urban centers. Even a teacher who is teaching English language or history, there is also need to have basic technological skills or digital tools set to ensure that they contribute to further student development. So these are things that I wanted to highlight that were brought up by the listeners, and it shows how people are concerned about education in the country, which is a good step forward.
Yeah, I'm sure education alone has got a lot of stakeholders that have to ensure that education is perfect and it moves on, not only like other stakeholders and the government and maybe NGOs. So how can teachers, families and communities collaborate to make education more relevant to the daily realities of young people?
Number one, there is especially at the general education level, that's where I'll focus. There is, in every school there is supposed to be a PTA, a Parents Teachers Association, and a Parents Teachers Association is very, very important to ensure that there is collaboration between the schools, the leadership of the school, the teachers, and the guardians and the parents of the learners. This body is the one that discusses on the daily running of the school, if it will meet the realities of the parents and the challenges of the schools. So there is need to encourage. Many schools are functioning now without a proper PTA, and this is why questions of learners being sent home without informing their guardians are on the rise. That need to be encouraged. Secondly, also parents, that there should be a system where parents are also oriented. Say for example, there could be a day or two where it's a parents meeting to tell them their responsibilities. Some parents do not know their responsibilities, and right now the schools have begun registration. You'll find a learner is going to register him or herself in a school, and at the end of the day, if a learner makes a mistake, who will be held responsible? Who is the parent? Who is the guardian? And this also goes to the school administrators. They should encourage parents or guardians to come with their children for registration, for monitoring, also constant sharing of assessments. You find some schools, they withhold results. They don't want to share results with parents in the fear that if the results are given, the parents will take the children to other schools. So you find parents do not monitor the progress of their students. In terms of discipline also, there are certain schools that do not follow up on indiscipline cases. You punish a student today, you punish a student tomorrow. The third time, you're supposed to call in a parent.
Sure.
But some schools don't. They only call in a parent when they are dismissing. But when they are in discipline cases, the parents have to be informed. And parents also have to visit schools. And we've seen also how our parents here in South Sudan, if you have small money, you send your children out, you cannot monitor. While the schools outside are doing better, that's a debate we can't have. But those who cannot take their children out, how do we develop our education system in the country? It has to start with your involvement. You have to visit schools. Look at the classrooms. Some classrooms are really in bad shape. And you just allow your student or your child to go, and you don't know where they are, how they are being taught, who is teaching them. These are also discussions that can bring collaboration. Yes.
In fact, the issue of education needs a lot of constant discussions, because also that's what I'm going exactly to, because most parents think that once you take your child to school, class, your role is done. So the rest is for the teacher and those who are concerned. So what about the youth themselves? How can they play a good role in shaping education policies and programs that reflect their own realities? Can they do that?
The youth have a huge role, because they are the ones that know what is happening. Especially those that are in secondary schools, and those that are at the universities, and those that are working, they know the realities. And we have a lot of young people that are working now in organizations. Say, for example, the organization that I work with, Newt Cook Foundation, we have an educational program. Other organizations that are involved in education, mainstreaming, they should have constant meetings. And also look at the policies that are there. Are they meeting the needs? And these are people that can go to the schools and do assessment. Most of the time we say our schools are not doing well, but how? What are the challenges? We only speak on generalities, but not on the specifics. So the youth who are energetic, who have the resources, they can bridge the gap between the classrooms and the ministry, between policymakers and the policy implementers. They come and assess the schools. It doesn't harm. Have programs that are running in the schools. Go there, do awareness on the importance of education, constant reminders to the learners, encouraging them, and coming up with programs that would ensure that learners go to school and stay in school. So this is how the youth can be involved.
Well, as a teacher, do you think there are some strategies that can be used to keep young people engaged in education despite challenges like poverty, insecurity, or early marriages? Because the youth are reflected in all these.
Yeah, especially when you mention about early marriages. Marriage has become an alternative now. And parents are encouraging that. You find they want their children, girls, if there is Zol Kabir who is coming or into Gurush class, you marry off your daughter. So schools can play a role in encouraging that they go to school and they stay in school. And how can they do this? Come up with programs that are entertaining, that are encouraging. Say, for example, the boys, they love sports.
Sure.
So ensure that there are a lot of sporting activities, and also that can ensure that these are not just activities to entertain them for the meantime, but also are career paths for them. For the girls, how can you ensure that they are not distracted? Marriages are coming here, parents want to encourage them. You also come up with programs that would encourage. There are those girls that would be very interested in sports. Avail them for them. Science activities, exhibitions, music, drama, all of these activities will keep them entertained in schools, and they would be encouraged. By the time somebody knows that you are going for a music festival, that there is a school drama that you have to attend, there is a school activity that is waiting for you, you will not think about marriage. You will focus, and there have to be incentives for the performing students, not just at the national level where we expect at the end of their studying, then they sit for national exams. No, even in classes, if a learner performs well, and it's not just for number one or number two or the best girl or the best boy, also for the improved. Monitor them. If a student has moved from 200 marks to 300, that's a huge improvement. Encourage that, bring an incentive to encourage them. Could be a book, could be a pen, just something to acknowledge that they are doing well, and constantly be close. Schools have to establish guidance and counseling programs, and even appoint someone who will be doing it on constant basis, because our homes are not encouraging. They don't allow for peaceful growth. You go home, there is no food. You go home, the home is congested. Even where to sleep is a problem. And you have to come to school in the morning and smile. That is a lot of work. So have counseling sessions. So there is a lot that can be done to encourage learners and students, yes.
Yeah, maybe just moving on to last words or anything that you would like to add that I've not asked you. And that reminds me, for activities during my time, we used to be encouraged in schools to do handcraft, you see.
Exactly,
we were busy. That's why most girls, you see, now they're using that. Women, especially, they actually gave the skills to their daughters, making bed sheets, whatever. Handcraft was very important. So people were there. You know that your time is busy. Anything I've left out you would like to add?
We've discussed
maybe just a message,
the key issues in
maybe
the
now
education.
as a teacher, a message to the young, to the youth themselves.
I have 3 messages. One to the schools, one to stakeholders in the education system, the ministry and those that support them, and one to the parents.
You can do that.
To the schools. Right now, the National Ministry of General Education has not marked the primary 8 performance or examinations. Why are you admitting senior 1 learners? What are we encouraging? Ethics begin with schools. If we want to encourage learners to be better, to be accountable, it has to start with you. In schools also ensure that you have a cordial relationship with parents and you implement the curriculum. Try to develop practical means to ensure that you build learners that are skilled and that are practical in their approach. To the ministry and other stakeholders, there is need to revise our policies. There is need to revise the curriculum right now. It doesn't have to wait. And to the parents, be involved. It's not just about paying fees. It's not just about knowing that the child has woken up. Some children wake up and they don't go to school. They get lost in between. Follow up. Once in a while, visit the school to know where your child is learning. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You have just been listening to Duot Deng, who is a teacher and an advocate. It has been my pleasure hosting you this morning, and I hope we'll link up again and talk, because there's so many issues related to education and people need to know that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And dear listeners, we have also come to the end of the Dawn Show for today. Join me tomorrow, same time. And I would like to thank Baria Johnson and Dikodi Andrew, who are the producers of the program, Geoffrey Amanya, who makes sure that he brings us here, Darrington Moses, the guy behind the social media, making us visible to all the world. And thank you too to all listeners and followers.